Alright, welcome back to Realism Overhaul. Today we're going to be launching off another satellite in a similar orbit as our last episode, where we launched home into this ecliptic orbit, reaching high space above Earth, which is, I believe, above geostationary, somewhere around 36,000 kilometers. Let me see, the house satellite here, apoapsis is about 40,000 kilometers, if it'll go. And house standard for, I believe, a high orbit universal scientific experiment. And pretty much it had like a bunch of one-time run experiments I brought back the science from to Earth. And it also has all this nice connection. So basically, whenever this is up here, this entire side of the planet will never lose connection when we run a satellite over there. And I wanted to do that exact orbit on the other side. And the thing is, I also wanted to keep it as the same plane as the moon, or at least similar, because actually we put this in orbit accidentally around the same plane as the moon, which then I realized, you know, we could use that to our advantage. We can use that to help not lose connection when we're injecting to and going to the moon, which is what we're going to be doing that very shortly. So the way this rocket launched is it launched and then its engines never turned off until it reached that apoapsis. And in order to keep the same plane, I'd have to do this on the dark side of the planet again, and I can't do that because it'll just end up in the same orbit. What I have to do is put us in low Earth orbit and then wait till I'm around the day side and then burn out. And I forgot to test this in simulation before I built it, and it's at the launch pad now. I'm hoping I can do that. I'm hoping the staging works so that our AJ-10 will be running when we can reach low Earth orbit, because that's the only engine I can actually shut off and reignite. So we're gonna be at the launch pad here. Let's see where we are. Yeah, this is Cape Canaveral. We gotta wait for our plane to match with the moons, which I think for a little bit higher here, that's perfect. That should be close. That should be close enough. Luckily with this, we don't have to be extremely accurate with this satellite. So I can pretty much just eyeball it like I've been doing this entire playthrough. And it's gonna be another night launch. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna warp through it. So I'll see you when we're in space. Now this rocket actually has a ton of thrust to weight ratio off of the launch pad. So we're gonna actually start to see some of the re-entry effects happen, and this rocket's gonna light up as we blast through the low parts of the atmosphere. And what that means is I can actually, these side tanks, yeah, here it goes. These side tanks, I can actually make them a lot larger in order to carry a much larger payload into orbit. But it suits our needs perfectly fine. Okay, I have absolutely no control of the throttle right now. Does that have anything? Oh, that might be the script. Ooh. This orbit is a little bit worse than I had first thought it could be. No, that would look a little bit better. It's still a bit lopsided. It kind of makes it look like the Earth has wings with these two orbits. But I actually kind of like that. It's not perfect, but hey, I'm not perfect. And it leaves us with 200 delta V, and that'll be more than enough to deorbit the upper stage. And now that we're in the daylight, we can see the actual satellite here. And this satellite is called HOME, H-O-M-E, High Orbital Magnometer Experiment. And pretty much the only experiment on board is this magnometer boom. Okay. Alright, the only thing that could stop us now is an engine failure. So let's hope that doesn't happen. There we go, within 1.8 meters per second. And look at that. Look at that. Our delta V is exactly 200 meters per second. And it leaves us with 200 delta V. That's how much is left. And that's plenty. Let's decouple the satellite. Since the launch of our first few satellites, all of my satellites are going to have at least a small amount of RCS available. And that is because, specifically with this SciComm launch vehicle, excuse me, when this decouples, it tends to send the satellite into a slow spin. And having RCS on the actual satellite itself, we can correct that very easily. And also the satellites can orient themselves and avoid any possible debris. They can get themselves away from their launch vehicles, etc. It's just nice to have, and it's standard how I do it now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna wait till this is at its apoapsis. Gonna point it retro and burn, and this will burn up in the atmosphere, and then we'll switch back to our home satellite, get the magnometer data, and our mission will be complete. So what we're gonna do is make this feel stable for the engine. We're gonna burn. And our periapsis is well beneath the surface now. We're gonna log the data. Looks like 5 science brought back from that. That is added, and now its active mission is complete. Its passive mission is to stay in this orbit. If we actually focus on the Earth, we can do that. Oh, of course it's gonna focus on the sun. There we go. Focus on the Earth. We'll see both the house satellite and the home satellite they're on similar orbits, and they're in similar places in their orbit. So essentially, across the plane of going to the moon, no matter where we are in the moon's rotation around the Earth, we should have connection because of these two satellites, home and house. And these orbits, it looks like the time they spend not out where they're getting the most communication sent off, they zoom past in low Earth orbit. And I actually really like this. It'll minimize our blackout time drastically. And it's no geosynchronous communications network, but I think this will do very nicely for sending things to the moon. So I think that just leaves us to design something to send to the moon. I think we're going to leave that for next episode. So, thank you so much for watching, and peace out.